Have you ever looked someone in the eye and wondered, who are you really? Every day, we meet people who present themselves as kind, confident, or even admirable. But deep down, you sense there's more beneath the surface. The truth is, most of us walk through life surrounded by masks crafted with smiles, words, and gestures designed to impress. In a world obsessed with appearances, how can we truly know someone's real character? You don't need a psychology degree or years of experience in human behavior to find out. In fact, understanding someone at their core is often simpler than we think. It comes down to two revealing indicators, two seemingly small but incredibly telling aspects of behavior that expose everything. Once you understand these, you'll see people differently. You'll begin to notice who is sincere, who is just performing, and most importantly, who deserves a place in your life. Let's explore the first one. The first window into the soul, how they treat those who can't give back. If you truly want to understand someone's character, pay close attention to how they treat people who hold no power, offer no benefit, and can't return a favor. Think about it. Waiters, cashiers, cleaners, drivers, the elderly, children, people who are often ignored or taken for granted. What you'll discover is profound. Empathy doesn't need an audience. It reveals itself quietly, when no one's watching, when there's nothing to gain. Authentic kindness is consistent and unconditional. I've seen executives bark orders at interns, only to sweetly charm clients moments later. I've watched people pour affection on their friends while treating a server like furniture. Those aren't just lapses in politeness, they're windows into a fragmented, insecure self, desperately trying to assert control where it's safe to do so. Real strength is revealed in how gently you treat the powerless. Microactions that scream the truth. We often overlook the subtle gestures, a smile given to a janitor, the thank you whispered to a barista, the willingness to wait patiently while someone struggles to communicate in a second language. These tiny moments hold the loudest echoes of someone's values. The reason is simple. When we believe no one is watching, our true self comes out. Psychologists have long noted that our behavior toward those we perceive as having lesser status is among the most authentic indicators of our character. Why? Because there's no incentive to perform, no reward, no stage, just raw, unscripted humanity or the lack of it. Next time you're observing someone, forget their polished social image. Instead, ask, how do they treat people who serve them? Do they show gratitude or entitlement? Do they make others feel seen, heard, and respected? These answers say far more about them than any resume, photo, or speech ever will. The psychology behind it, why this behavior matters. According to behavioral psychologists, how we treat those who can help us reflects our internal state, our sense of self-worth, our emotional intelligence, and our values. Those who need to dominate the weak are often those who feel powerless inside. Their arrogance is a mask for their fragility. Conversely, those who remain humble and kind regardless of the circumstances exhibit a strong, integrated self. This isn't just about being nice. It's about emotional maturity. It's about consistency in character, not convenience. Character is a habit, not a performance. True kindness isn't something you turn on when it benefits you. It's a daily practice, a habit, a reflection of who you are when no one is clapping. The world is full of people who show up as saints in public and tyrants in private. But character isn't about isolated acts, it's about patterns. That's why we must train our attention to the patterns. Take note of how someone acts not just once, but repeatedly, especially in situations where they're stressed, inconvenienced, or dealing with people they deem unimportant. Do they sigh loudly when the cashier is slow? Do they snap at someone asking for directions? Do they ignore the cleaner but gush over their boss? Or do they offer a smile, a moment of patience, a small acknowledgement that says, "You matter too"? These aren't small things. They are the very DNA of one's character, the everyday test you can use. You don't need to run elaborate social experiments to test someone's empathy. Here's a simple yet powerful way. Go out to a public place with them, maybe a coffee shop, a restaurant, or even a walk down a busy street. Watch how they treat the people around them, the waiter, the security guard, the street vendor. Are they warm, dismissive, courteous, condescending? This doesn't make you judgmental. It makes you aware. And awareness is a first step to wisdom. Now flip the question inward. Self-reflection. What do your actions reveal? It's easy to observe others, but are you willing to look inward? Ask yourself, how do I treat those who can't benefit me? Do I acknowledge strangers with warmth, or do I walk past as if they don't exist? Do I respond with irritation or understanding when someone makes a mistake? We all have room to grow. Recognizing our own blind spots is an act of courage. Personally, I've found that the more I honor these small moments, the more connected I feel not only to others, but to my own integrity. Because character isn't something you turn on, it's something you live by. Why this matters more than ever. We live in an age where image often overshadows essence. Social media showcases curated lives. Professional spaces reward charisma over compassion. In this climate, we must return to what's real. The first of the two keys to knowing someone is this: how they treat those who can't do anything for them. It's not flashy, it's not impressive, but it's honest. And honesty, when it comes to human connection, is everything. The way of a promise, more than just words. Think for a moment about the promises you've heard in your lifetime. Some spoken in moments of passion, others in silence with just a nod. Many kept, some broken, and others quietly forgotten. But what separates those who keep their promises from those who don't? The answer lies in a word that many speak of, but few live by: integrity. Keeping a promise is more than a courteous gesture or a checkbox of duty. It's a declaration. It says, I respect you, I respect myself, and I honor the words that leave my mouth. We live in a world where people are often driven by convenience. But character true, unwavering character is measured by consistency, not convenience. Promises are tests. They test who shows up when it's hard, not just when it's easy. A person of integrity follows through even when the circumstances change. They don't use difficulty as an escape hatch. They adapt. They communicate. They own their commitments. Trust is built on consistency. In personal and professional life alike, people want to feel safe. They want to know that the person they trust won't shift with the wind. That when someone says, I'll be there, they will be. It doesn't matter if the promise is big, like being there for a friend in crisis, or small, like showing up on time. Each kept promise adds a brick to the foundation of trust. Each broken one chips away at it. As someone who has led teams and coached individuals across different industries and life stages, I've seen one principle play out over and over again. Those who respect their word gain respect. Period. Even when someone can't fulfill a promise, and yes, life happens, how they handle it speaks volumes. A sincere apology, a proactive explanation, and a commitment to do better, these aren't signs of weakness. They are signs of depth, of responsibility, of strength. Why we break promises and what that says about us. Psychologists have shown that the tendency to overpromise and underdeliver often comes from a desire to please others or an inflated sense of capability. But when a person consistently fails to honor their commitments, it might point to something deeper, a lack of self-awareness or worse, a lack of respect for others' time and trust. It's easy to say yes. It's harder to mean it. Being mindful of what we promise and realistic about what we can deliver is the first sign of someone who not only understands themselves but also values their relationships. The mirror of self-discipline. Let's turn the lens inward for a moment, because keeping promises to others is only one side of the equation. The other, perhaps even more telling, is how we handle the promises we make to ourselves. How often do we say we'll wake up early, start that habit, finish that book, launch that project, only to let those promises dissolve with time? Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for all your other relationships. When you repeatedly break your own promises, you erode your self-trust. But when you keep even the smallest commitments to yourself, you build a quiet confidence that no one can take from you. Start small. Promise yourself something manageable. Keep that promise. Then build from there. The real test: promises under pressure. Anyone can follow through when things are going well. But the real character test appears when life throws a wrench into your plans. Will you still show up when it's inconvenient? Will you find solutions instead of excuses? Will you inform the person involved, own the delay, and seek a way forward? That's not just accountability. That's leadership, the balance between flexibility and commitment. Let's be clear. Keeping promises doesn't mean being rigid or burning yourself out to meet every expectation. Life is fluid. Things change. Emergencies arise. But what matters is your intention and your effort. If you can't keep a promise, do you communicate? Do you explain? Do you take responsibility instead of hiding behind silence? There is grace in honesty and strength in vulnerability. How to evaluate others and yourself. Here are a few reflective questions to guide your observations. Does this person follow through on their word, even in small matters? Do they take deadlines seriously? When faced with obstacles, do they adapt and communicate or quietly disappear? Are their promises grounded in realism or idealism? Do they avoid overpromising, or do they commit impulsively without thought? These observations can reveal more about a person's character than hours of conversation. The way they manage promises, both given and broken, draws a map of their internal values. Now reflect on yourself. Do I honor my own word? Do I say yes with intention or out of guilt or fear? Do I forgive myself for past broken promises and strive to do better? Am I consistent in small things, even when no one is watching? Conclusion: two lenses that reveal everything. So what do we learn from this two-part journey? First, that how someone treats those who cannot offer them anything in return is one of the clearest indicators of their true nature. Second, that how someone manages their promises to others and to themselves speaks volumes about their integrity, self-respect, and emotional maturity. These two lenses, when used together, allow us to see beyond appearances. They help us navigate relationships with wisdom, choose who to trust with more discernment, and perhaps most importantly, challenge us to grow into the kind of person we ourselves admire. Because in the end, becoming a person of true character isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent, honest, empathetic, and committed to walking your talk. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. Share this video with someone who values personal growth. And most importantly, begin observing not with judgment, but with curiosity. Subscribe to our channel and Telegram group for more content on wisdom, mindset, and the journey of becoming. Let's continue to grow with intention, with integrity, and with heart. Thank you for being part of this journey. See you in the next video.